Who gonna turn down $50 million? Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right, because P. Diddy be wanting the body, and you gotta tell him no.
Usher and Megan Fox deleted posts. Khloe Kardashian's old clips surfaced. Was it a coincidence or hiding something bigger? The first story will shock you, but the last one in this video will leave you speechless. Craig Mack burst onto the scene in 1994 with Flava in Ya Ear. The track that didn't just sell millions, it birthed Bad Boy Records as a powerhouse. But while the world thought he was Diddy's golden child, whispers inside the label suggested betrayal. Mack faded from the spotlight, later retreating into a religious cult in South Carolina, where he would die of heart failure linked to AIDS. How could someone who ignited an empire disappear so completely? From the very beginning, manipulation hung over the glitter. Diddy wasn't just making hits, he was building a network. Politicians, athletes, Wall Street men, Hollywood stars, they all found their way into Puffy's orbit. And at the center of it all, those infamous late-night parties, guarded like state secrets. Behind closed doors, the line between glamour and coercion blurred. Was it coincidence that rumors of hidden tapes began as early as the mid-1990s? Speculation ballooned. Barack Obama's name floated in hushed tones. Jennifer Lopez allegedly appeared in more than one recording. Beyoncé, Rihanna, and even Drake found themselves whispered into the narrative. Usher's long-standing closeness to Diddy only deepened questions. And as new faces like Trey Songz and Chris Brown entered the industry, chatter about recycled content never quieted. Could this have been the industry's open secret all along? Political figures and even royals allegedly brushed against the same circles. Party favors, once a harmless phrase, became coded language for something darker. Social gatherings that looked glamorous from the outside masked rituals few dared to describe. Silence from insiders only amplified suspicions, especially as comparisons to Jeffrey Epstein's network started to surface.
Lost myself at a Diddy party, didn't know that's how it goes. I was in it for a new Ferrari, but it cost me way more than my soul. Wasn't worth all the fortune and fame.
By the late 2010s, lawsuits cracked Diddy's empire wide open. Social media gave oxygen to whispers once buried in tabloids, and the question lingered. If this was just the beginning, how deep could the rot go? Behind the velvet ropes, stories far darker than any chart-topping hit began to surface. Survivors described children used as if they were party favors, laid out on tables like objects at a luxury auction. Guests could pick and return them at will, as though innocence itself had been commodified. How could such a system exist without exposure? That very question is what makes the whispers so enduring. Boundaries didn't protect anyone inside these gatherings. Vomit-eating rituals were whispered about as deliberate humiliation, designed to break victims and bind them into silence. Goats and other animals allegedly unleashed onto children only heightened the sense of a theater of cruelty. Again and again, Diddy's name was placed at the center of these scenes, always present, always powerful, always untouchable. What unsettled many was the celebrity factor. Eyewitnesses claimed Denzel Washington appeared in bizarre attire. Birdman's name circled around one particular freak-off. Young Jock was reportedly listed as an attendee. One survivor even identified a celebrity by a small, specific birthmark, an oddly precise detail that made investigators pause. Could this be a sign that at least some claims carried chilling truth? Then came the theories linking ritual trauma to control systems. MK Ultra, a name once relegated to conspiracy forums, suddenly reappeared in whispered conversations about contracts. Remote switching, insiders alleged, turned celebrities into programmable assets. Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, Amanda Bynes, all cited as examples of stars allegedly manipulated through trauma and breakdown. Was their public unraveling truly personal or programmed?
This is the most disturbing Diddy clip that I've seen so far, and it really honestly makes you realize that everyone who went to these parties isn't so innocent.
Okay, we gonna have DJ Cassidy right now get on the ones and twos. We fed y'all, we gave y'all some drinks, now it's time to enjoy life. This is a celebration of life. This is a legendary white party. It's the real white party. Make some noise if you've been here before. Okay. And to all the kids have like an hour left. So get extra comfortable, kids, because after that, y'all gotta go. It's a wrap for y'all, because this thing turns into something that when y'all get older, y'all don't want to come to. Okay? So, let's just start to get our groove on a little bit. In an hour, we put the kids away. It's all good. Hey, DJ.
Even mentorship became suspect. Justin Bieber's closeness to Diddy raised alarms, especially with Usher allegedly acting as the bridge. What the public saw as career guidance, critics interpreted as access grooming. Bieber's silence only deepened the mystery, fueling suspicion about what he endured. Like with Epstein, the names weren't limited to entertainers. Politicians and even royals appeared in the rumored lists. Secret tapes, some claimed, operated less like pornography and more like blackmail dossiers, tools of control recycled over decades. Public denials never carried the same weight as silence, and soon, the very idea of freak-off files became digital folklore, a modern legend rooted in too many whispers to ignore.
You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
When he was just getting his foot in the music industry's door, a 13-year-old Usher spent a year living with Combs. Usher opened up about this experience in a 2016 interview with Howard Stern.
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 in the morning with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
Although he made it sound like a blast, Usher hinted at something more disturbing beneath the surface. Usher said that he didn't, quote, understand what he was even looking at, and, quote, very curious things were taking place.
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at.
Perhaps most telling, Usher made it clear that he wouldn't want his children attending, quote, Puffy Camp like their father.
When the internet starts to clean itself, people notice. Usher suddenly wiped every post from his X account, leaving a blank canvas where decades of memories once lived. The timing was suspicious, right when Diddy's name filled headlines. Fans asked, coincidence or calculated retreat? The official explanation didn't help. Usher later claimed his account had been hacked, but that felt too neat, too convenient. Around the same time, Megan Fox erased her Instagram and X history. Then Pink did the same in early 2024, vanishing her digital presence overnight. Was this a wave of random spring cleaning, or coordinated distancing from a man whose empire seemed ready to collapse? Fact-checkers tried to dismiss the frenzy, noting that the timelines didn't perfectly align. But the internet doesn't wait for evidence. It thrives on patterns. And when Khloe Kardashian's old interview resurfaced, things escalated further. In the clip, she casually described a Diddy party where half the people were naked. She laughed, shrugged it off, yet years later, that same soundbite felt damning.
So who was with you this weekend? A bunch of my friends. Diddy, Quincy, Justin Bieber, so far French so good. Montana. Do you even know half the people you're naming? No. She didn't go to bed. I haven't been to bed yet. You haven't? I want to be Clay when I grow up, Court. I got on a plane at 5:30 a.m. Well, this party, I think half the people there were butt naked. You would have loved it.
The Kardashians' mastery of media only added fuel. Was Khloe's offhand remark an unguarded truth, or just playful exaggeration? Fans reframed her words as confirmation, layering them into digital theories where every deletion, every laugh, every silence became part of a growing puzzle. Deleted posts weren't absence, they were evidence. Then came Cassie's lawsuit. Her detailed claims mirrored the darkest rumors, reopening wounds fans thought were buried. Old clips of Bieber and Diddy resurfaced, one where Bieber joked about getting smashed at Diddy's parties, another where Diddy tapped his chest in a strangely intimate way. Suddenly, Bieber's erratic behavior, drug use, and breakdowns were reinterpreted through this new lens. By now, silence no longer protected anyone. The internet had rewritten the story, and no amount of fact-checking could erase the viral truth once it took hold. When federal prosecutors finally unsealed their case against Diddy, the courtroom became the stage for a saga that felt bigger than music. Racketeering charges hung over him like a storm cloud, with RICO law, the same weapon once used against mob bosses, now pointed squarely at hip-hop's most powerful mogul. Bail was denied not once, but twice, sending a message. This was no ordinary celebrity scandal. Allegations grew darker by the day. Prosecutors described minors transported across state lines, hidden in the same itineraries as tours and business trips. Comparisons to Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein weren't whispered. They were shouted in headlines, fueling a public already braced for revelations. Raids on Diddy's homes uncovered bizarre items that left officers shaking their heads, hinting at worlds the public never sees. One investigator admitted quietly, "Not everyone who attended was breaking the law. But what we saw spoke for itself." Witness testimony painted chilling pictures. Bodyguards described hearing thumps and muffled screams behind locked doors. Celebrities, some couples, allegedly joined play sessions in secret rooms. Ex-security staff recalled scenes of confrontation, with nudity presented as casual, almost ceremonial. Suddenly, lawsuits from Cassie and whispers surrounding Kim Porter's death were pulled back into the spotlight, threaded into a pattern of systematic control and abuse. Meanwhile, politics slithered into the trial. Rumors swirled that Donald Trump, once rumored to be a friend, had considered offering a pardon. White House insiders allegedly even contacted defense lawyers, but when the story broke, Trump distanced himself, calling Diddy hostile during past campaigns.
Back when you hosted The Apprentice, you mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening. And I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him, I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up from what I read. I don't know, he didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden, It's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. So it's not a popularity contest. So, I don't know, I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
Analysts argued over the case's strength, but prosecutors knew one thing. They had to prove this wasn't gossip, it was organized crime. By then, the trial had stopped being about music entirely. It had become a cultural earthquake, dragging celebrity, politics, and power into the same courtroom spotlight. And yet, the real damage wasn't in the headlines. It was in the silence of ruined careers, broken lives, and vanished voices waiting for their stories to be heard. Silence can speak louder than any headline. And in the wake of the storm around Diddy, it roared across Hollywood. Celebrities deleted posts, erased histories, and avoided questions, leaving fans and investigators to trace patterns across decades of scandal. Digital breadcrumbs only fueled speculation, with comparisons to the infamous Epstein client lists quickly spreading online. Each deletion, each erasure, became evidence in itself, an unspoken confession for those paying attention. Comedians like Katt Williams stepped into the vacuum, His blunt interviews naming names and recounting insider moments that validated long-held suspicions. Fans noticed his consistency. For years, he had been warning about elite circles, and suddenly, the dots were connecting. Diddy's carefully constructed empire began to unravel in real time. Stars scrambled to protect reputations, PR teams scrambled to control narratives, and social media cycles recycled old footage and interviews, making cover-ups nearly impossible. As pop culture dissected trauma, names like Bieber, Usher, and Rihanna dominated discussion threads. Khloe Kardashian's resurfaced clip was reframed as unintentional whistleblowing, further highlighting the normalized grooming culture in Hollywood. Conspiracy theorists resurfaced MK Ultra narratives suggesting psychological manipulation tied directly to celebrity control. Royal names and political figures entered whispers, making the story global, adding layers that no one could ignore. Fans demanded answers from elites who stayed silent, turning freak-offs into cultural shorthand for exploitation and secrecy. Ultimately, Diddy's legacy shifted irreversibly. His empire, once a symbol of music power, now symbolized systemic control, silence, and complicity. Lawsuits encouraged others to speak, but some believed authorities would stop at him, while others feared this was only the beginning. Across platforms, forums, and media, the conversation left fans questioning celebrity culture itself. How much glamour masks coercion, and how many stories remain hidden behind polished images? Even now, traces of whispered footage, erased posts, and survivor accounts linger in digital archives, hinting that the full truth has yet to be revealed. The story doesn't end here. Dive into more shocking secrets, hidden scandals, and untold histories in our other videos. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss the next jaw-dropping revelation waiting for you.